The courtroom held its breath, a tableau of modern justice frozen in disbelief. A foreman, his voice trembling, delivered words that defied all legal precedent. A witness, once poised, now sobbed uncontrollably, haunted by an ancient Greek script etched onto a piece of lead. Then came the gavel, a sharp crack that echoed through the stunned silence. The judge, his face a mask of grim resignation, declared a mistrial. Not due to procedural error or hung jury, but because of the perceived influence of an ancient curse. This was the moment when the American legal system, built on rationality and evidence, was forced to confront something far older. It was a confrontation with what many would call black magic, a force seemingly beyond the reach of statutes and precedents. The case in question was the Kent-Hughes tech fraud trial, a high-stakes affair in San Francisco. It was meant to be a straightforward prosecution of corporate malfeasance, but it imploded in the most extraordinary way imaginable. The district attorney's office found itself grappling with an impossible question. Could the sheer fear of a curse genuinely prejudice a jury? Could an ancient belief system undermine the very foundation of due process? The defense, in a move that shocked legal observers, brought in classicists and ancient historians. The prosecution, scrambling to counter, enlisted psychologists, sociologists, and experts in cognitive bias. This was no longer just about fraud. It was about the human mind. The trial centered on Kent-Hughes, a prominent cloud storage firm accused of massive financial deception. The prosecution's star witness was Marina Lopez, the company's former chief technology officer whose testimony was crucial. But then, the unthinkable happened. As a piece of evidence was presented, Lopez froze on the stand. Her eyes fixed on the object, she began muttering an ancient, guttural phrase. Her composure shattered. The defense immediately seized the moment, claiming a curse tablet had been activated. They argued it was a deliberate act designed to silence Lopez, rendering her incapable of testifying. The artifact that caused such a stir was quickly identified by experts. It was a katadesmos in Greek, or a defixio in Latin, both terms meaning binding spell. These were not mere trinkets. They were instruments of ancient intent. The method for creating such a spell was precise and chilling. An enemy's name would be inscribed onto a thin sheet of lead, often along with a specific curse. The tablet would then be rolled or folded and deposited in a place believed to be potent with chthonic energy. Their purpose was clear: to enlist restless spirits, underworld gods, or vengeful deities. These entities were invoked to bind, hinder, or even destroy an opponent. Often in matters of love, business, or most frequently, law. Archaeologists have unearthed over 2,000 such tablets across the ancient world. A staggering number, more than 500, are directly related to legal disputes, offering a glimpse into ancient courtroom tactics. The specific tablet in the Kent-Hughes case was radiocarbon dated to 340 BCE Athens. Its craftsmanship and inscription were described as textbook examples of ancient sorcery, confirming its authenticity. The inscription itself was a chilling testament to its purpose. It read, "May the logos of my opponent grow heavy. May his tongue stick to his gums. may the jurors' ears fill with wax. It was a direct assault on the very mechanisms of justice. This was not some obscure, isolated practice. Such tablets were a standard, albeit illicit, tool in ancient Athenian legal strategy. They represented a dark undercurrent in a society that prided itself on its democratic legal system. The Athenian legal system was a world away from our own. It featured enormous juries, sometimes numbering 200 to 2,000 citizens, and verdicts were delivered with astonishing speed. This created an environment ripe for psychological warfare. Litigants in Athens sought every conceivable advantage to sway these massive juries. This included employing professional sorcerers known as goetes to bind the opposition through magical means. One famous example involved a wealthy Athenian who reportedly paid for 2 dolls and a lead coffin. His aim was to silence his accusers, demonstrating the lengths to which people would go to influence legal outcomes. Legally, these practices were frowned upon. Interfering with the freedom of judicial speech was technically illegal, a violation of civic norms. However, enforcing these laws against clandestine magical acts proved incredibly difficult. The district attorney's office initially dismissed the tablet as a crude stunt, a desperate attempt to derail the trial. But then, the symptoms began to emerge, not just in Marina Lopez, but in others. Reports of aphasia, nightmares, and profound anxiety spread. The tablet itself had been mailed anonymously to Marina Lopez, arriving just weeks before her scheduled testimony. Forensic analysis yielded no discernible fingerprints, no postal clues, nothing to trace its origin. Dr. Eleni Vlachos, a renowned Greek epigraphy specialist, was brought in. Her meticulous examination confirmed the tablet's authenticity, dating it precisely and identifying it as a product of a specific 4th century Athenian workshop. Even more unsettling, Dr. Vlachos identified a sorcerer's signature within the inscription. The phrase, "Call upon Hecates of the Crossroads," linked it to specific burial sites in ancient Athens known for such magical deposits. Professor Kathleen O'Neill, a leading expert in psycholinguistics, coined a new term to describe the phenomenon unfolding: contagious aphasia by proxy. It was a way to categorize the inexplicable. Her research pointed to the nocebo effect, the dark twin of the placebo effect. A genuine belief in a spell, a curse, or a negative expectation can manifest real physical symptoms, such as muting speech or inducing paralysis. To test this, trial simulations were conducted with mock witnesses. Those exposed to a replica of the curse tablet showed a statistically significant increase in speech anxiety and difficulty articulating their thoughts. The belief alone was enough. Ancient Athenians, it seemed, intuitively understood and weaponized this human vulnerability. They grasped the profound power of belief, using it as a psychological weapon in their legal battles. This wasn't an isolated, ancient phenomenon. Similar prayers for justice, often small, claims curses targeting thieves have been found in Roman Britain. These tablets reveal a widespread belief in supernatural intervention. Roman magistrates, pragmatic and focused on imperial law, largely ignored these magical appeals. Yet, the complainants who commissioned them believed they were accessing a divine court. a higher form of justice. Marina Lopez, despite living in the 21st century, found herself in a similar psychological bind. For her, the cursed tablet held more power, more immediate threat than any modern subpoena or legal obligation. The defense team, armed with expert testimony on the nocebo effect and historical precedent, launched their final audacious argument. They contended that the mass psychological impact of the cursed tablet had tainted the entire jury pool. This, they argued, constituted a violation of the Sixth Amendment right to an impartial jury. The very foundation of a fair trial had been compromised by an ancient fear. Citing Dixon versus Alabama from 1977, a case dealing with psychological coercion, the defense asserted that the pervasive fear created by the tablet was grounds for a mistrial. The psychological environment was simply too compromised. After days of deliberation, the judge made his unprecedented ruling. He declared a mistrial with prejudice, meaning the case could never be retried. The Kent-Hughes prosecution was permanently ended, not by evidence, but by a curse. Ancient Athenian courts were, in many ways, theaters of reputation and persuasion. They were highly susceptible to psychological warfare, where rhetoric and belief could sway outcomes as much as facts. Modern courts, by contrast, operate on the assumption of rational actors. They rely on logic, verifiable facts, and impartial reasoning to arrive at justice. This is the bedrock of our legal system. The Kent-Hughes case, however, starkly demonstrated a critical vulnerability. It showed that belief systems, some older than the Constitution itself, can hijack due process and undermine rational legal proceedings. The fear of curses, not their physical reality, proved powerful enough to derail a multi-million-dollar trial. It was a stark reminder that human psychology is an undeniable, often unpredictable force in the courtroom. In the wake of the Kent-Hughes debacle, new protocols were swiftly adopted for occult-adjacent cases. The legal system had to adapt to this unforeseen challenge. One key protocol dictates that artifacts with potential psychological impact must now be treated with extreme caution. They are handled as if they were biohazards or potent psychological triggers, requiring specialized containment. Expert witnesses are now brought in early to demystify such objects. Their role is to strip away any supernatural aura, explaining the historical and psychological context to all involved, including potential jurors. Furthermore, limited voir dire questions are now permitted regarding jurors' spiritual anxieties. This allows for the identification and exclusion of individuals whose belief in curses or similar phenomena might compromise their impartiality. These new protocols are not about combating magic. They are about managing human psychology, acknowledging the profound impact that deeply held beliefs can have on the pursuit of justice. Justice, at its core, is partly theater. It is influenced by perception, by persuasion, and by the powerful currents of human belief. The Kent-Hughes case laid this bare for all to see. Today, the infamous Kent-Hughes tablet, now officially labeled Magical Contempt, sits in a secure FBI vault. It is a relic of a trial that defied explanation, a testament to the unexpected. No one was ultimately convicted of tech fraud, nor was anyone prosecuted for sorcery. Yet, the fundamental procedures of court were profoundly rewritten, forever changed by a piece of ancient lead. This case highlights a crucial truth. When courts ignore powerful human stories and deeply ingrained beliefs, those stories and beliefs do not simply vanish. Instead, they can profoundly shape reality and ultimately the very nature of justice itself. If this story shattered your faith in rational justice, hit that subscribe button and join me for more investigations into how ancient forces still shape our modern world. Drop a comment below. Would you believe in the power of a 2,400-year-old curse if it turned a courtroom upside down? And don't forget to share this video with someone who thinks the law is immune to magic. Until next time, stay curious, stay skeptical, and maybe keep that iron nail close, just in case. Thank you for watching. See you in the next adventure.